Welcome to the True Truth Weekly podcast, where tough questions meet careful answers. We'll present timely perspectives on current events, politics, and give the cultural context you can trust. We tackle the big questions on origins, the Genesis kinds, the creation-evolution debate, and the young earth. Learn about faith and reason, theology, apologetics, and the flaws of the Da Vinci Code, and what is the gospel. Plus, we take on math, art, philosophy, alleged Bible tensions, wisdom, and the conversations that sharpen understanding.
Howdy. Welcome to True Truth Weekly, Episode 3. Today we'll talk about Noah, China, Resurrection Day, Marcus Ross and the Young Earth Option, Revival and West Huff, Scammers in Minnesota, and Sports News, or as Tank McNamara likes to say, Nort Spews. I'm Jay Hall, your host. I taught math at Howard College in West Texas for over 10 years, so I'm a tenured professor. I also have visited the Iranian embassy in D.C. in the 1960s as a kid, so my mom tells me. And you can find our video description. It'll have a link to most of the topics. Just go to thenewscasters.com, True Truth Weekly, with hyphens between those. Or you can do it easy and just do a search, Newscasters, True Truth Weekly, and our info should be at the top. Feel free to contact us at our website, totalyouth.us, and click on the contact button. You can find links to our books and our other social media there. Resurrection Day is April 5th. No fooling. So let's take a look at the AI connection. I looked at the phrase, Jesus rose from the dead. And there's one site, use.ai, usc.ai. And for that one, there is a charger involved. But at the very beginning, you can do a little thing to it. And at the corner, it has GPT-5, for those of you that know what that means. And then it gave me a response. Would you like me to explain, analyze, or translate the statement? Well, I thought it was fairly obvious that I wanted you to explain it and defend it. And so my response was defend and prove it. Now from Grok, I actually got an excellent response. So this is Grok's response. The statement, Jesus rose from the dead, is the central claim of Christianity, affirmed in the New Testament as a historical event with eyewitness testimony. Just go to 1 Corinthians 15, where Paul cites an early creed listing appearances to Peter, the 12, over 500 people, James, and of course Paul himself. Christians view it as both a theological truth and a verifiable historical occurrence that validates Jesus' identity as the Son of God. From a strictly historical perspective, scholars across the spectrum, including many non-Christian and skeptical ones, agree on several core facts that form the basis of discussions about the resurrection. Jesus was crucified and died under Pontius Pilate, near universal consensus, supported by Christian sources, Josephus, Tacitus, and Roman records. His followers soon afterward reported experiences they interpreted as encountered with a risen Jesus, widely accepted as genuine subjective experiences, even by skeptics like Bart Ehrman. The disciples' belief in the resurrection emerged very early, with months or a few years, transforming them from fearful dissenters to bold proclaimers willing to die for their conviction. The tomb was reported empty by early sources. Key arguments often cited for the resurrection as the best explanation include the empty tomb combined with post-mortem appearances, the rapid rise of resurrection belief in a Jewish context where bodily resurrection was expected only at the end of time, the transformation of skeptics like James, Jesus' half-brother, and Paul, a former persecutor, the inability of alternative naturalistic explanations to fully account for all the data. That's the end of the Grok statement. So Grok actually references Gary Habermas, who is a great scholar on the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. And here's a suggested topic for y'all on your next coffee break. Who is more creative, a real human being or AI? Good question. Now for the news. Do you know about the 1 million future voters in communist China? They take advantage of birthright citizenship and have their kids born in places like Saipan. which is part of the Mariana Islands. It's about 1,600 miles from Luzon in the Philippines and about the same distance from Tokyo. A relevant book is The Invisible Coup: How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon by Peter Schweitzer, which just came out in January. But what about those young earthers? On February 17th in 2007, Marcus Ross, the well-known creationist, was highlighted on the front page of the New York Times. So, young earth science, or yes, has been on the front page of the Times. My book, Is a Young Earth Possible, has appeared on the front page of the Bring Spring Herald in May of 2020. It defends the young earth idea from history and science. Young Earth Science in the New York Times? Yes. Speaking of a youthful world, what about Noah's Ark? I picked up a book on Noah recently from the library that came out just last year. Noah and the Flood in Western Thought by Philip Almond. It comes from Cambridge University Press. This book is quite slanted and takes a skeptical view of the global flood. The author references Henry Morris, who founded the Institute for Creation Research, ICR, and his son John Morris, who searched for the Ark on Ararat. Me and John Morris went to the same church in Norman, Oklahoma. However, scriptural geologists are apparently ignored. Dr. Terry Mortensen has written a first-class tome on these scholars from the early 1800s who argued for the deluge from Genesis and geology. Just to bring one flaw from Almond's book, consider the time from the flood to the Tower of Babel. He seems to think that the population of the world was not that great at that time. Theoretically, you could have 340 years from the flood to Babel. Just look at Genesis 10:25. There is no enigma. I deal with population growth in my book, Is a Young Earth Possible? And you can find an excellent explanation of those supposed conundrums there. Now, are there signs of revival in America? The God Bless Summit just occurred in Oceanside, California. You may have heard of it. It featured music. Gavin Ortland, Trent Horn, and Sean McDowell, among others. I'm especially stoked that Wes Huff, who appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast, was part of the event. So check out Wes Huff on Joe Rogan Experience, number 2252. I think you'll like it. There was also a debate with Mormon apologist Jacob Hansen. And that's a real cool thing, these different kinds of festivals like the Harvest and so forth. TPUSA Faith is also doing some great work. They have started a Make Heaven Crowded tour, which includes these upcoming stops for April and May: Philly, Virginia Beach, Dallas, and Portland, Maine. Oklahoma City is on the docket, but the date has not yet been set. So, Christians on the Joe Rogan podcast, that's really cool. Pray for Joe Rogan. He needs to get saved. That would be wonderful if he came to know the Lord. On last Sunday, with a wink and a nod and a smile, I went up to the Money Center at Wally World and said that I'm requesting $5 billion from my pal who runs a daycare center in Minneapolis. After all, I'm not greedy. In a story from March 3rd, we learn of a man behind a fake autism center in Minnesota who pled guilty to a $6 million fraud scheme. Now to the sports news. Or as Tank McNamara likes to say, North spews. What are the odds that both the women's and the men's hockey team for USA would win gold in the 2026 Olympics? What are the odds? That is just absolutely fantastic. Now, speaking of odds, Moscow native Alexander Mikhailovich Ovechkin passed Gretzky's record in March of last year at the same number of games, matching Gretzky's lifetime number of games. So the games played for Ovechkin, 1487. Goals at that time was 895. The lifetime games played for Gretzky, 1487. Goals 894. That is a lot of goals. So what are the odds? That's absolutely amazing. Now, for those of you watching, I have a little sign here that says satire, S-A-T-I-R-E. So, satire. So we're shifting gears here just slightly. So, in other sports news, The Dearborn Monster Trucks, the rugby team, have changed their names to the Dearborn Beatties, aka Homies. Because home is a bait in Arabic. I do apologize for the mispronunciation. The Minneapolis Twins have changed their name to the Minneapolis Scammers. And the Baltimore Orioles, which I didn't say cookies, will now be known as the Baltimore Dead Zones. The Washington Redskins from D.C. actually was in their way back stadium in the 1970s, early 1970s, for a Boy Scout event. Have flipped and go by the new moniker, the Washington Elites. And the Seattle Seahawks trade jerseys to the Seattle Destroyers. And those Truth or Consequences from New Mexico, Rosy Peaches, now go by the Cassandras. Ladies softball will never be the same again. The Hamtramck, which is in Michigan, bowling team will now be tagged as Adam, Abu, and Yusuf. All right, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's J Hall MMS. That's my degree in math. I'm in Oklahoma City, and if you can suggest anyone for a possible interview, just give me a holler. We'd love to hear your feedback, pro or con. Just go to totalyouth.us, and hit that contact button. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.